Welcome back to Style of Play Football. We had our first semi-final in the World Cup yesterday. Argentina beating Croatia 3-0. Before we get into that video, please smash the subscribe button and the like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. But what a game. Messi ran the show. He done what he needed to do to get the team into the final. Yeah, what a game, what a performance. I was very surprised by Croatia, if I'm honest. I thought Croatia were going to start, as I said in the preview, I thought Croatia were going to be a team that were going to be compact, defensively strong, solid, you know, in defense as well. And obviously going forward, they still had options, but I thought they done well. I thought Croatia at the start of the game, you know, watching it for the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought they were doing well. I mean, they were stopping Argentina from getting forward, pegging them back in their own half. You know, they were passing the ball around really well, retaining a lot of possession of the ball, but it just seemed to deflate out. I don't know what happened, whether it was just nerves, whether it was just something wasn't right tactically from the manager, but they just didn't seem like the Croatia that we've seen of previous games, and especially in this tournament as well. But even how they played to get to the final, you know, they didn't look like the Croatia that we've watched previously. So I don't know what happened with them. I thought it was a really good initial performance from Croatia. I thought the three midfield in Brozovic, Modric and Kovacic were doing really well. I mean, Modric, you have to credit him. I mean, he's obviously bowing out this World Cup as well. It's his last World Cup, but he done really well in that game, and I think he tried to carry Croatia not only through this tournament, but I think especially yesterday you could see that he was just constantly working hard, and all the players were, and I think that's what you get with Croatia. You know, they don't stop running, and you know, they don't tire out, like I said in the preview. But I think as the game progressed, you know, you could see that there was options, there was openings up for Argentina. I think initially, you know, obviously who I thought had probably a really bad game for Croatia was Sosa at right back. I wasn't really impressed with him. I think he probably had a really poor game, even before one of the goals that kind of was an error made by him, or part of the error that was made by him as well. But I thought you could tell there was openings for Argentina. I think, you know, I mean, Messi eventually was having almost a free run in midfield, you know, dropping as deep as he wanted, running, you know, with the ball through midfield. It was so easy for Messi to pick off a pass and, you know, take on a couple of players and, you know, show a bit of trickery and still retain the ball. So I think as the game progressed, you could see that Argentina was slowly building into it. They were gaining a bit of momentum, and, you know, that I mean, the first goal, which was the penalty, which led to the penalty, you know, I know caused a lot of controversy, but I mean, I called it a penalty straight away. I said it was a penalty. You know, started to doubt myself. I started to get on WhatsApp and ask a couple of my friends, you know, had I made a mistake? You know, had I missed something? Because to me, it was a penalty. And when I was watching the halftime talk in the studio with Gary Neville and Peter Walton and Ian Wright, you know, they all say no, it's not a penalty. And I was like, well, it has to be a penalty. It has to be a penalty. You know, some will say that Alvarez was able to take the shot on and he got a shot away, and the ball had already gone by the time the goalkeeper and the player had collided. But it's a goal scoring opportunity, and if that's anywhere else on the pitch, if that was a striker against a defender, you know, you're gonna get the same outcome. You're gonna get a foul. If it's inside the box, I'm sure you get a penalty for that as well. So it's a harsh one, it's a soft one to some extent, but at the end of the day, it's a penalty. It's a penalty. You know, people are saying that obviously the officials, FIFA, want Messi to win the World Cup before he retires from international football, before he's, you know, his last World Cup. And I don't think that is the case. I think, you know, Argentina played very well. I thought it was a penalty. The penalty itself, I mean, you know, you could have two goalkeepers in that goal and you're still not saving that. The power, the velocity behind it was crazy. And I think that opened the door for Argentina. I think Argentina were just happy to then go on. You could see that Croatia, whether it was a mentality thing where they just sort of slowed down mentally, and then they weren't passing the ball as much. They were allowing so much space for Argentina, you know, to run into. You know, you think about De Paul running into that space, McAllister as well. Fernandez was picking off passes left, right, centre. You know, he was doing what he wanted to do and dominating that midfield. and obviously the two up front, you know, Messi was, as I said, had a free roam. There was times where Messi was on the halfway line, you know, he's twisting and turning players and, you know, doing it was almost like a Messi of 10 years ago, you know, holding onto the ball. You know, he's 35 years of age and he still has that sense of low gravity towards the ground and be able to turn in the blink of an eye and pass the ball, and the 1-2s. It was so intricate from Argentina. In the end, it was a masterclass to watch. You know, so credit to anyone. I know a couple of people that, you know, a couple of my bedrooms were there. They were in the stadium, so they got to watch that live. They won't forget that night because it was magical from Messi, to be fair. Second goal defensively, I mean, so it was a brilliant goal from Alvarez, but at the same time, you have to look at the defensive issues that Croatia implied on themselves, because you look at the defense from Lovren, you look at the Gravadio as well, the space between the two of them after that, even in the first goal, you know, to allow Alvarez that much space in between. But for the second goal, I mean, the amount of space that was given, I think it was a ball in by Molina to Alvarez, and just the amount of space, it was almost comical defending at the back from Croatia. I think Sosa, the ball deflects off one defender, I think it hits Sosa, and Alvarez still ends up with the ball, and it's probably the easiest World Cup goal he's ever going to score. So I just think after that, I mean, that was a comical bit of defending. It was still a brilliant run from Alvarez, and at the time I credited Alvarez for the run, but looking back, you know, to still have the ball and still be able to do that, I think for me personally, that's a mistake by Croatia as opposed to a really good goal from Argentina. You know, you shouldn't have the opportunity to score that goal. So I think brilliant goal from Alvarez in Argentina, but defensively from Croatia, you could tell at 2-0 the game was almost done. You know, and I think the fact that in the second half, I think Modric comes off pretty late into the game. They just gave up. I think you could see there was no real plan B. There was nothing from Croatia to make you think they were going to get a goal. They did have one or two chances, I think, in the second half, maybe from a couple of free kicks. I think Perisic had a really good opportunity to score. I think he went low with the free kick, but there wasn't nothing really for Croatia, you know, and, you know, you could tell that the players were slowing down. But the third goal, I mean, we got to talk about the third goal with Messi, you know, picking the ball up from where he did on the halfway line. As I said, you know, 35 years of age, running with the ball. Gravadio didn't have an opportunity to even try and tackle him. I think with Messi as well, because of his speed, because of his height, because of how he is and how difficult he looks like he is to be able to defend, you know, you don't want to stick a foot in. You don't want to lunge in. You can't lunge in because the trickery is that good that if you lunge in, you miss the ball, you miss the player, he's gone. So, you know, Gravadio tries to stand him up. Messi comes back on himself, twists and turns, manages to get it in the box, and what? I mean, he made Gravadio look like Phil Bardsley. He made him look like an amateur defender who had not played a minute of World Cup football and was just thrown into the game to mark Messi. He looked like that, and this is a player that has just been linked with Manchester City for 110 million. I think the price might have just dropped by 20 million for Gravadio because it was shambolic from him, but it's Messi, and I think, you know, you have to again apply a bit of context. You know, Messi is one of the best, if not now the best player in the world for me. You know, there's always been this debate about who's better, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. I think the debate's over now. Because Messi, if he goes on to win the World Cup, all the goals, everything he's done in the game, I think we can arguably say that Lionel Messi is up there as one of the GOATs now. He's up there with, for me personally, R9. He's up there with these sort of GOATs that we talk about, the Maradonas of the game. You know, he's up there. He has to be now. And he's always been an elite player for me, but to get that World Cup, to take his team, he's almost dragging his team to the final. He has to be up there as one of the best for me, you know. And then you can almost see Alvarez coming through as that next line of talent at Argentina. Yeah, you can't fault them for that. You know, they're a very good team. I did obviously say it was going to go through to penalties, and I thought Croatia would play a lot better than they did. But for a team of Argentina who had 39% possession of the ball, you know, they let Croatia dominate the ball, pass it around. But the result tells you that Argentina was just very clinical with the ball, very clinical in front of goal. You know, the third goal, Alvarez, I think, again, getting his second goal from the magic by Messi. I mean, it's almost set up now for Argentina to win this World Cup. But we do have another semi-final tonight, France versus Morocco. I mean, you look, even in whoever goes through in that game, whether it's Morocco or France, you still look at Argentina as being the favourites to go through. They are, for me now, they're this close to winning the World Cup. It would take something for me for them not to win it. It would be a disaster if they didn't, because they've played so well. You know, they lost I think they're the first team ever in the World Cup to lose their opening game and go on to win the World Cup. So if they do it, they're making history. Messi's making history as well already from last night. It's written in the stars for Messi to win this World Cup. He's now at GOAT status for me. He's always been an elite player before anyone hits me and attacks me in the comments, but Messi is now at that GOAT level. If he wins the World Cup, he goes on to be one of the GOATs, and that's something that, you know, I didn't think I'd ever say about someone in this modern day generation of football. But Messi is definitely clear of anyone else in this current generation of footballers, one of the best by 100 miles and more. But I'm looking forward to tonight's semi-final. Argentina are through, France, Morocco, who will go through. Let me know what you think in the comments about last night's performance and who Argentina will face. Will it be France or Morocco? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think about tonight's game. Thank you very much for watching.